Dr. Helen?
Dr.
Okay.
Helen? There you are. Welcome. We are so excited having you. Really, thank you so much for giving your time and being available to share your experience and your incredible insights. So I have the honor to introduce you quickly, and I must say it is difficult to really quickly mention the plethora, really the big wealth of what you are actually doing. So you are combining all the practical insights with even teaching at academia. So let me introduce you to Dr. Helen Emore, an expert certified facilitator in business development, particularly in the African business sector and in the sphere of innovation. So Helen is the managing director of Ciencia Partner Innovation Hub, where she uses her expertise and network to foster transformative growth of small and medium enterprises in the region. And Dr. Emore has as well founded a company called Auntie Helen Foods Processing Limited. I'm pretty sure you're going to talk about that as well. You are teaching at Pan-Atlantic universities and have trained over 10,000 startups and small business owners in entrepreneurship and coached over 250 SME to elaborate or to further develop business models, etc., etc. So thank you for being here. And I think I should just hand over to you. You're going to take us through the topic of sustainability and AI, but certainly with a very practical focus. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to show greetings from Lagos, and thank you very much, Dr. Ruth. Greetings from Lagos, Nigeria, on a cloudy afternoon, I dare say. Yes, I'm very happy to be here, and happy to be part of the Mozisha journey. It's an idea that I saw start, and I'm very happy to see it blooming in Africa and rest of the world. So yes, today I'm here to talk about AI, the sustainable development in Africa, and what I have done, because this is an online platform. I have craved the indulgence of the Mozisha team to allow me share a few slides. I'm not giving a lecture, but I actually just want to have a chat on how we can use AI to develop Africa. And I thought it would be good if you could follow me visually as I tell this story. So I will start sharing my slides now. And okay, good. So yes, so I'm talking about AI for Sustainable Development in Africa, a Mozisha Career Summit. The way I see AI, artificial intelligence, I think that it is just like the previous speaker said, it's a tool, and we need to understand how it works so that we can use it for Africa, so that we can use it to develop Africa, so that we can take advantage of all the opportunities that this very beautiful tool is presenting to us as Africans. But sadly, studies have shown that Africa is the least prepared region for the AI revolution. According to an IMF research, Singapore is number 1, and then of course Denmark, US, Netherlands, and Estonia, while Africa remains the least prepared region. Africa is not only the least prepared region. Nigeria, my country, that is supposed to be the giant of Africa, is not even ranked amongst the top 10 prepared countries for AI in Africa. And this is an irony. When we look at the number of internet users in Nigeria, the level of internet penetration, the level of mobile telephony, and even our population, and we are the least prepared for the AI revolution. So how is this going to happen? This is because when you look at the 5 indicators that is used for this AI preparedness index, number 1 is AI preparedness. Are we prepared? Of course we are not. And then 2, Digital infrastructure, do we have enough to support the AI revolution? No, we don't have enough. So again, that would make me say, just bear with me in case my system goes off. It will be power failure, but I have made some backup arrangements, so I doubt that I'll be disrupted. But those are some of the infrastructure issues we have to deal with in the whole of Africa. Our ability to stay on, our ability to stay connected, and our ability to deliver. And then, of course, what's the level of innovation and economic integration? If you look across the world, Africa is still struggling with economic growth. Compared to the Asian tigers or the Asian countries, they've left us behind. Whereas we were higher than India, Taiwan, China, and the rest of the Southeast Asian countries in the 70s and 80s, they've overtaken us in the 90s. So Africa is still grappling with the same problems that I saw and heard of when I was growing up in the 70s in the 21st century. So to a large extent, we haven't developed as we ought to, even as our population grew. And then, of course, human regulatory issues, whether it's human capital, labor policies, regulations, ethical issues, we are not there at all. So there is enough evidence to show that Africa is not prepared for AI. But what's the good news? For me, when I saw this report, I smiled. I said, if Africans are smart, they should know that there are problems to be fixed. So that means that smart entrepreneurs should see opportunities to fix these problems, increase our AI preparedness, and make good business out of it. So whilst these are problems or negatives for Africa, I also see it as an opportunity both for entrepreneurs and also for career progression. So we do not have some of the levels of saturation that the West and the developed countries have. So this actually indicates that Africa presents good opportunities for entrepreneurs and for career progression as far as AI adoption is concerned. And why do I say so? We have 11% of global internet users, if you look at this statistic. So Africa has more internet users than North America, Southern America put together, So they are like 13 point something, we are like 11. So we're not doing too badly. And we are not even optimized yet. We don't have full coverage yet. So that means there's a lot of room for growth in the tech industry. So whereas the Western Hemisphere is very, very saturated, they're very matured, we are actually at the growth stage. So there's room for a lot of innovation, there's room for enterprise that solve real problems, not fancy technology, So Africa is in quotes, to an undiscerning mind, Africa would appear like a basket case. But to a creative problem solver, Africa has problems that are looking for people to solve them. So it is those who step up to solve those problems that would take advantage of the opportunities that Africa presents. So it's good to have this data, it's good to see it. But for me, I always invert it to say, if we have all these problems in Africa, it means somebody needs to solve them. Which one can I solve? Because I can solve all. But then a lot more people need to know that there are a lot of problems and they should find their space and how to solve them. And again, this just data to show the number of internet users. Not very clear, but I'm sure if we share the slides, you'll see it better. Nigeria has 103 million users, Egypt 82 million, and like that. By the time you total all of this up, you're looking at almost 300 million internet users in Africa. Remember, these are the top 10 countries, not 54 African countries. Remember, Africa has about 1.3 trillion people, right? And if Africa has 1.3 trillion people, and we're looking at internet penetration of not up to 500 million people. It means there's room for a lot more. And it has no discrimination about age, because we all need internet to play games, for schooling. A lot of children are on Google Scholar or one form of learning platform or the other. So there is a lot of room for technology growth in Africa. But do we see it as a business opportunity, or do we see it as a disadvantage? For those of us who are just starting our careers, do we see opportunities for career advancement? Do we see opportunities to acquire skills and use them to solve problems and grow in meaningful organizations? So this data about Africa may seem negative. However, they indicate that, look, these are where the opportunities are. Why do you want to go to a saturated market when you have a latent market at the back of your house, right? So what are Africa's most urgent issues? Healthcare, food security, education, skills development, the kind of thing Musisha is dealing with, financial inclusion, infrastructure and energy access, climate change. It's a big issue in Africa. Insecurity and conflicts. Africa has all of these problems. But guess what? I will keep saying it's the people who solve them that will take advantage of the opportunities that will be inherent there. So are you looking at those problems as opportunities, or you're just looking at them as problems? You know, like sometimes you get Nigeria and say, Nigeria don't finish, meaning Nigeria is finished. Oh, everywhere you go in Africa, it's like, all of us Africans, we are just the same. Why are we like this in Africa? There's nothing wrong with us, really. It's just unfortunate that our systems have not taken proper care of the key issues. So these problems present an opportunity. And I'll tell you a very quick story some of us might be familiar with. Let's take financial inclusion, for instance, number 4. In Nigeria, where I come from, getting a loan as a micro business is very difficult. Before you finish all the documentation, before you look for guarantor, open your bank account, fill the forms, do all your business plan or whatever they ask you to bring. Sometimes they ask you to bring your grandmother's, mother's, father's skeleton. By the time you finish all of that, you don't need the money again. But a group of young men came up and said, you know what? We believe in the informal sector. We believe these guys will pay. We'll get them to take money from us. I will give them loans so that they can run their small businesses. They started out as team apps, right? And in less than 10 years, they've grown to become Nigeria's biggest informal lender, doing even more in transactions than the conventional commercial banks. I mean, I read somewhere that Team Apps does more than 1 trillion naira in lending every month. I can't quickly convert 1 trillion naira, but I know that in dollars, that's about a couple of billions of dollars to the informal sector. And this is the Nigeria that they say that the informal sector is not documented. We can't give money to the informal sector. The informal sector will not pay. There will be no way of tracking them. But those guys, they did everything to make sure that they are able to deal with that segment of the market that nobody is interested in. And they use technology. Now, they have one of the most reliable mobile payment systems in Nigeria. Even when everybody else is failing, their system works. I don't know how they did it, but they are delivering and they are using technology, right? So all of these problems that we have, they are going to be solved by us and by people who understand the problem and are keen on solving them. So how does that address the sustainability issues in Africa? So I'm looking at it from the Sustainable Development Goals perspective. That's 17 goals, right? But I look at Africa and say, if you take 1 to 8, those are our most pressing. The way I see it, and from my experience as someone who lives in Nigeria and has traveled extensively across Africa, our problems are almost homogeneous. I go to Mali, it's as if I'm in Nigeria. I go to Burkina Faso, it's as if I'm in Nigeria. I'm walking on the streets of Dakar and I feel like I'm walking somewhere in Kaduna or Abuja or even Obalende in Lagos, right? You go to Accra and you're like, this is home. Go to Nairobi, this is Nigeria now. Why did they separate us? We are all one continent. right? We have similar problems, we have similar challenges, and we can solve them. So I believe that Africa's wicked problems are concentrated. This is me. I'm not saying the other SDGs are not important, but you see, poverty is across Africa. Zero hunger, food insecurity is across Africa. Limited access to quality healthcare and good quality of life is happening across Africa. Limited access to education is happening across Africa. I mean, the other day I was watching South African students protest increase in university fees, and it felt like it was in Lagos. I also saw Kenyans demonstrate recently, and everything they were complaining about was happening in Nigeria. Same thing with Ghana. You go to Algeria, it's the same thing. So Africa's problems are the same. It means I say that to say that if you solve any of these problems, if you have solutions to any of these problems using technology, leveraging artificial intelligence, it means you can actually deploy your solution across the continent. So instead of looking at either a Nigerian market of about 200 million or a Ghanaian market of 20-something million people, or an Egyptian market or an Ethiopian market of 80 million, look at the whole continent. And then with the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement coming into play, it means that we can have easier access to trade across the continent, right? So all of these problems of health, education, gender issues, clean water and sanitation, unemployment, high unemployment rates, limited industrialization and innovation, these are problems we can solve with artificial intelligence. And what I love about the artificial intelligence narrative is that increasingly it is being demystified. Just like my predecessor said, the person who spoke before me, it's a tool. You need to understand how it works so you make it work for you. I mean, I have a son who was intimidating me with artificial intelligence. And I got angry and I said, you know what, I want to even study this AI and see what it is about. I know what it is. I believe that it's just an advancement. It's not going to radically change the world. Rather, it presents opportunities for us. And the more I studied about artificial intelligence, the more I decided that, you know what, I'm going to be an advocate. And my advocacy is to encourage people to understand what the narrative is. AI is not coming to drive all of us in Africa out of jobs. AI is going to make us leapfrog certain parts of development. AI is going to speed up our development. And I said, how can it grow Africa's economy? How can it grow Nigeria's economy? I believe there are opportunities. And there are studies that are already projecting what will happen. There's a study that says that AI could bring over 30 billion worth of economic impact in consumer, retail, and hospitality. Is it possible? Yes. So are we looking at how we can play in it? Are we looking at the opportunities? Are we looking at details? I'm interested in education. So I'm looking at how I can use artificial intelligence to democratize access to education. I cannot do everything. I'm interested in agri. I'm looking at how I can mobilize people to use artificial intelligence to provide meaningful solutions that African farmers have, or those in the agribusiness value chain. So these figures and these studies, they are real. I've seen it happen. In 2014, I read a report by PwC that Africa's content industry will grow by 2021. I saw it. I was interested. I started, and then I stopped. And now I'm looking at the creator economy in Africa, and I'm like, I will never treat any prediction with levity again. So I'm taking these AI predictions very, very seriously. And I believe everybody who is here should also take it seriously. Again, this is a data from Statista showing how the African market for AI will look like by 2030. This is a comprehensive study. It's online. There are some snippets of it. If you want the details, you may have to buy it. But I believe these figures because of the gross inefficiencies in our systems in Africa. So it is not just that they are talking about large language models They are talking about machine learning, deep learning. Those are opportunities. But when you talk about the marketplace, when you talk about opportunities it will create, there is a huge opportunity for AI in Africa. And we shouldn't take it with levity. We shouldn't just be watching NVIDIA's MD show off his wealth. And then look at the entertainment industry. I'm very interested in this sector because I mean, I see the revenue, I see the projections, and I'm like, it's not going down, right? In 2019, the entire entertainment industry was worth, give or take, about 210 billion or thereabouts. But by 2021, it had gone up to almost 450 billion, and it's still rising. I didn't get a clear image for 2023 data, but I know that by 2023, the revenue for both film, books, films and music was not up to half of that for gaming. So for those who are young and are interested in games, a lot of people play games now. Don't just be a gamer. See how you can contribute to that economy and also get some value from it. How can you get value? And gaming is a broad ecosystem. It has visual arts, it has programming, it has writing. And people say, yes, there are AI tools that do it. But you have to even know what you want to write about for you to prompt the AI tool to do the right thing. So there are opportunities there. I mean, I'm very biased, like I said, towards the gaming industry because I have a son who really loves gaming and is very interested in it. And he had to draw my attention that, Mommy, you're always looking down on this gaming. You're just thinking of software. Mommy, gaming is bigger than everything that you're looking at. And that got me looking closely at that industry. And I began to explore the entire ecosystem, and I saw that there's a lot happening in that space. So there's room for us. And the interesting thing is, if you look online and see if there are games about Africa or stories about Africa or games that reflect African culture, it's almost non-existent. So that's an opportunity for us to be part of this huge market that is projected to keep growing year on year. And so, as a roundup, when we look at all these opportunities, when we look at all the problems we have in Africa, we need to look at the entire value chain and the ecosystem and say, as professionals, as entrepreneurs, where can we play? You don't have to be a programmer. You don't have to be a coder. There are so many skills required in the artificial intelligence ecosystem that we can bring in. So where can you fit in? What are you bringing to the table? Like I said earlier on, I'm into business education, right? And I'm very interested in that. I'm also interested in education generally and agribusiness. And I'm seeing how can I get more people to look in this direction so that we are the ones who will take advantage of these opportunities. AI is not just about generating AI tools. There's a lot happening in the entire value chain that we can all plug into. So it's important that we take a closer look to the social license, the regulatory frameworks, research. We have to keep writing. In fact, because I now understand how AI works better, I have decided to write more comprehensive articles so that I can also contribute to the body of knowledge that goes out through generating AI tools. So if somebody asks a question about the subject, my field of expertise in anywhere in the world, my name should come up for those that concern Nigeria or Africa. That is what understanding how it works, how the artificial intelligence ecosystem works will do for us. So we all need to know how it works and find our space in it. I can already see where I'll plug in this value chain. I can plug in education and skills. I can plug in investments because I coach entrepreneurs. So I can help entrepreneurs refine their business models and prepare for investments. And so it's the same thing for you. Are you a programmer? Are you a coder? Are you into visual arts? Are you into the creative economy? Are you an engineer? Are you into fashion, there's room for all of us in this ecosystem. We just need to understand how it works so that we can take our rightful position in it. And then, of course, getting to know that, look, there are applications, there are hubs where this will be hosted, so there are cloud activities, there are also hardwares and opportunities for acceleration, incubation, opportunity for advocacy, opportunity for media. I mean, the list is almost endless. I mean, I don't want to bore us, but I looked at AI tools for different sectors, and as at last count, I had seen references to more than 300 AI tools, and there are still more that I don't know. And so there's opportunity for all of us, really, you know. So the artificial intelligence world presents a lot of opportunities. And if you look at this word cloud, you can find your space. You can find your space, because that's what we're going to use to solve Africa's problem. It's not, for me, it's not an abstract subject. It's a real subject. And we have to treat it as seriously as that if we want to be part of the AI revolution. So for me, I am a teacher, I'm an advocate, so I'm just telling people that, look, this AI thing, it's not rumor, it's not a fad. It is what's going to affect our lives. And the earlier we find our space in the value chain and the ecosystem, the better for us. Otherwise, the opportunity will come, it will go, and for us as professionals, for us as entrepreneurs, we'll miss out on it because we are still interrogating, we are still debating. Instead of us to be taking action, we are still interrogating, we are debating. So we need to get into it. And working with partners like Musisha and all the other good people in this room, I believe very strongly that we can use AI to create solutions that can solve Africa's problems. So I invite all of you to please stay close to Musisha. I'm also very close to Musisha, and I believe that together we can create real solutions to solve Africa's problems, not just fancy technology. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Helen, for this wonderful presentation and all these insights that you gave us, starting with the opportunities for the African continent, on a bigger scope, but then breaking things down to something very concrete, zooming into the gaming industry as one example among many, and then even breaking things further down to options, how to enter the AI value chain, and actually also giving this insights into the AI ecosystems allow for many young people, many people in general, to access this kind of world and find their own role in it. So we usually collect the questions that are mentioned in the chat. I'll see what comes up there. And otherwise, I also developed some questions, of course. Let's have a look. So basically, I was wondering about, it's very encouraging really to see all these innovation hubs, how they also gain momentum on the African continent, given that, many of, what is happening in terms of research and also innovation around AI is, still mostly happening in places where the big companies, global companies are. When you think about those dynamics, and even more there, also zooming into when you work with entrepreneurs, what kind of needs are there? What do you think could be best provided to support what they are doing, or if there's even the state coming in to promote such a development? So perhaps if you've got a wish for your own work.
Okay, so how can innovation hubs promote innovation in artificial intelligence? Part of the work we do at Scientia Partners Innovation Hubs, where I'm MD, is to encourage entrepreneurs who want to leverage technology to actually create solutions for market needs. So, for instance, you want to create we say, oh, we are using artificial intelligence to improve the supply chain to farmers in underserved areas. If you tell me that, I'll be like, okay, that sounds interesting. Farmers in supply in rural areas, because I know that there are bad roads in Nigeria. And pretty much most of sub-Saharan Africa is like that. Outside of the major cities, you have limited access to the hinterlands. So if you can use your technology to facilitate trade, to make it easy for the farmers to get their money, to make it easy for them to get supplies, to make it easy for them to get access to customers, then they will be willing to pay some premium for that solution. Then you would have investors that will be willing to pay for it. And if you're able to solve that problem in the villages of Maiduguri, it is possible that somebody in Tanzania will need the same solution in Zambia, in the rest of Nigeria, in Kenya, in Ghana. They would all have the same problems. So we would have solutions that actually solve the problems that we are facing now. But don't bring me a solution that says, oh, you just want to improve efficiency. You want to improve efficiency how? For a man who doesn't have access to markets, who doesn't have access to finance, who doesn't know how to transport his goods, give me solutions that solve the problem. So those are some of the kind of support we provide to entrepreneurs when it comes to product development. Give us solutions that the market actually needs. It's okay to look at the broad picture. It's okay to look at what someone has done in California or London or Paris. There's nothing wrong with that. However, is the market in Paris, California, and London, is it the same as market in Lagos, Nairobi, or somewhere in Zimbabwe? No. So that's what we are encouraging you. Look, take a problem that is a real problem in Africa and solve it. Don't give me any fancy solution. That's what we do in our innovation hub. Get them to solve real problems for farmers and for people in the ecosystem generally. Even if you finance, solve a problem. If you say you want to give, you want to have a solution, a fintech that improves access to finance, how are you going to do it? Are you going to be saying that everybody has to come on the internet when you know that internet penetration is low, when you know that we have very poor power supply and that most parts of Nigeria and even Africa, once you move outside of the capital city, they don't have power, they don't have internet, there are no towers there. So give me a solution that allows them engage. If you use a USSD, then we are talking, but then they don't need internet. So they can use the cheapest phone to use your solution. Those are the kind of solutions we are looking for. Solutions that solve the problems that people are facing, that improves their quality of life and enables them to earn more and do decent work. That's the kind of solution that I believe will work for Africa. Anything else, it's just going to be a fancy tool that nobody's going to pay for.
Earlier in the discussions, there had been raised, the concerns about how to regulate AI, and that, more and more countries come up with policies around AI, and also trying to develop a legal background to also address all these typical problems that might occur, starting with privacy rights and that sort of things. How do you think what the current situation is when it comes to African countries, or something that is more specifically also around where you are working in? Is there debate about that? And also when you work with entrepreneurs, does this play a role?
So when it comes to regulations, I don't know if it's a slightly different perspective. And that perspective is that we are already living in governed spaces. There are laws that cover privacy in most African countries. At least I can speak for Nigeria. There are laws that cover slander. There are copyright laws, right? There are laws that cover libel. So there are laws that cover decency. Your freedom of speech is not absolute. So there are a lot of laws that already regulate how we do business outside of the tech space. And then as technology began to advance, there were more laws that were written. about the use of technology. So for me, the challenge is people enforcing the laws, do they understand the breadth and depth of those laws? Because they are existing laws. There are laws that govern financial activities. There are laws that govern publishing. There are laws that govern even advertising. I mean, I started my career in advertising in 1991. So I know that one of the qualifying exams that we wrote, one of the requirements was that you couldn't advertise magic. You couldn't advertise what was mystical. You couldn't promote anything that causes harm to somebody else. So if we say because we are using artificial intelligence, we are going to create obscene and harmful content, then you have already run foul of the law. They don't need to write new laws for you. If you copy my work without giving me credit, that's already plagiarism. And I can sue you for that. So for me, I think that there's something about knowledge gaps. People need to know what is in existence so that they don't just come on the internet or use technology as an excuse to behave badly or to commit criminal acts. So there are laws. We just need to strengthen them and increase the enforcement so that people, and once people begin to enforce those laws properly and they are reviewed constantly, I think people will get it. But as far as we are concerned now, the technology space is not important. People should stop making that mistake. There are laws that govern everything we do in life. So just because it's on the tech space doesn't mean that you can do anything in life.
Thank you for that. When it comes to innovation, there's obviously now this curiosity that AI can be the creator itself, right? So there is just a new niche potentially coming up. That's so. I think it was South Africa filing the first patent where the owner of the invention is an AI construct. So, but yeah. Anyway. If you perhaps give us some insights, if you like, into your work with entrepreneurs. That would be very interesting, I think, to see what is happening there, what your experiences are, what current trends are, for instance.
Okay, so yes, thank you. That's a very exciting question for me because I'm currently in the middle of several programs. One is to support entrepreneurs across multiple industries. For us, we are doing something for entrepreneurs in business education, entrepreneurs in tech, entrepreneurs in agri, entrepreneurs in circularity. There's a huge demand for knowledge and resources. And we see that Africa is beginning to become a very interesting space. So we have decided to focus on solving the wicked problems of food, of climate, of education, of poverty, and gender inequality. So we are working with entrepreneurs in that space to give them clarity in things like product development. How do you even design your offering so that you can be sustainable? How do you address the market so that you can be sustainable? And we're doing that because in one of the studies that I did for my PhD, I discovered that a lot of entrepreneurs in Africa are doing it out of necessity. They really don't want to be entrepreneurs, but because they're unable to get jobs, they decide, let me try and create my own job until I can get the kind of job I want. And these are people who are flying blindly because they don't have the requisite experience. And even if they've not worked at management level. And then you get laid off and you go and start one business. And then you start struggling. And it's for us, the way I say it, like an entrenchment of poverty. So the campaign to promote entrepreneurship in Africa seems to be promoting poverty. Because those people never really become entrepreneurs. They're just living in business to sustain themselves. So we are investing in contributing to the ecosystem that actually builds real entrepreneurial skills. Sometimes we tell people, go and look for work. We help you look for work because you won't have capacity to be an entrepreneur. You're just going to be living from hand to mouth. Work for maybe like 5 years, build network, build capital. Then when you start a business, you know what you're doing. You can move into rooms. For now, you just stay and you believe. And I mean, a lady told me on Friday that this thing you're telling me, do you know that I just realized that when I post my products on my WhatsApp status, all the people on my contact list cannot buy. That's so what you're saying about me changing my network is very true. That the people I know cannot buy from me. We are all in the same socio-economic class. So I need to move. So Ma, thank you. For the first time, I now understand why they are not buying and what I need to do. That I need to go into other networks. So in the entrepreneurship space in Africa, really, for me, I think there's a lot of subsistence entrepreneurship, necessity entrepreneurship. So that's why we are not really creating jobs. We are just living hand to mouth. So we need to move more people to that space where they become real startups and not just subsistence businesses. That's our mission for us. That's what we want to do.
Great. Thank you very much. Let me check. There had been also some questions earlier on in the chat. Let's still relate to that. Well, how can we ensure that AI systems do not replicate or amplify existing biases or prejudices in a society? It's a more general question again, back to where we kind of started, where you started talking about, AI is a tool and it depends on how the society uses it. But sorry, I didn't want to give the answer, possibly just handing it over again to you.
I'm okay. I mean, we are in this together. So I'm okay with you giving the answer. It's a tool, really. And if you don't use it, somebody else will use it. So you better start using it. It's just like the way we say, oh, the internet is bad, social media is bad, it pollutes. I'm like, no, social media is a platform. You use it or you don't use it. So if you know so many good things, if you carry so much value and you choose not to use it, and somebody else who is a destructive entrepreneur decides to use it, or who has a destructive level of creativity decides to use it to amplify negative things, who are you to blame that person? What are you contributing to the internet? So it's the same thing with this artificial intelligence thing. If some of us are worried that there will be biases, then we better get cracking and start imputing. That's why I said, look, I'm going to be writing more articles because I want the languages to understand my own content. I want to put out content that is relevant so that I can contribute to the body of knowledge on artificial intelligence and subject matter. So we shouldn't complain if we're not going to roll up our sleeves and get into it like what Mosisha is doing, what we're all here doing, trying to talk, trying to contribute. We all have to work. It's all our calling.
Interesting. You are mentioning that it's all of us then participating and being responsible in the end. It's not, possibly that's more that feeling. It's, more the people behind the scenes, the software developers who knows, and the ones who generate the data in the first place, who kind of can steer the process, and it's not true,
No, it's not true. Let me just add this part before I go. My son is a programmer, right? And he says to me that, Mommy, you people don't understand how technology works. You think that the people in the tech industry are magicians. You think they are special people. They are not special people. They need inputs from regular people in the different industries for them to create solutions. That's all. If you want to create a medical solution, you need to work with doctors, nurses, physiotherapists, all the experts in that field. So I don't want to see a doctor say, no, this is their AI thing. No, the doctor is part of the AI. We are all part of it. We all have to be part of it. We should be interested. That's what I'm telling you. It's not the technology industry. It is our world. And we should all be interested in how it affects us and how we can contribute to the body of knowledge, to the systems, to the platform, and to the solutions that will change the world. Because these solutions are going to change the world. And if we want it to be for better, we have to contribute.
Wonderful. Thank you.